Hello students, in this module we are going to study about the non-cooperation movement, and the important terms that we are going to study about the non-cooperation movement are as follows. Under the non-cooperation movement we have first the causes. As per the causes we see it is the Khilafat movement, which was one of the major reasons why we had the non-cooperation movement. Then the Rowlatt Act, a bill that was passed as an act in 1919, that was another reason, another cause for the non-cooperation movement. Finally, we have the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, which became an important reason for the non-cooperation movement. Along with that, in the objectives, we have the self-government, the annulment of the Rowlatt Act, and along with that we can even say that the programs of boycott and Swadeshi to be properly followed in the non-cooperation movement. These were some of the important objectives of the non-cooperation movement. So in this module we will try to cover these two important points, these two headings of this chapter. So coming to the first part, that is non-cooperation movement. As non-cooperation movement, we can say, when we first study about the non-cooperation movement, by the name itself you can understand it means not to cooperate with the government. That is, obviously it started from the Indian point of view, and under the leadership of Gandhi and all the other Congress leaders, they decided that Indians are not going to cooperate with the British in various policies, schemes and everything, unless and until their demands, their requests are heard and proper actions to be taken for the betterment of the country and the people in the country, Indians. So here we see during the First World War, that was the region, you can say, that was the area of where the world scenario going on at that time, when the world wars were taking place. At that time we see that in India also there was a big change in the entire society taking place. So according to that we can say it was during that time when Gandhiji urged the Gujarati peasants to join the army if they wanted to win Swaraj. But the events of 1919, like the Khilafat wrongs and passing of the Rowlatt Act and Jallianwala Bagh tragedy, this all greatly disillusioned Gandhi. He turned from a cooperator to a non-cooperator. So you can say initially he was the one who told people to join the army and be loyal to the British, but later when he saw all these Khilafat wrongs and the Rowlatt and the Jallianwala Bagh tragedies, these reasons became good enough to be the cause for the cooperator Gandhi to become a non-cooperator Gandhi, or you can say to start his non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation is a way of protesting in which one does not cooperate with the evildoer. So that means the government was doing something which was for their benefit, but it was not good or was not in the benefit of the Indians, and that is why non-cooperation simply meant not to cooperate with the one doing evil, and that evil was done to the Indians in the Indian land itself. Here we see Gandhi asked the people not to assist the foreign government to rule over them. That means not to accept, not to follow their policies, not to help them to have a better control of the British over India. Gandhi said non-cooperation with evil is as much a duty as is cooperation with good. So non-cooperation with evil is something which is equally good, like doing or cooperating with something which is good being done. So that is how he justified non-cooperation movement. Now we see, when we are saying that he became from a cooperator to a non-cooperator, why and how he became a non-cooperator, because of these three particular topics that we have: the Khilafat movement, the Rowlatt Act and the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy. We will do each one of them in detail. Here we see Khilafat movement. In the First World War, it was Turkey and the Turkish Sultan. They were defeated by the British army. When they were defeated by the British army, the British were not at all showed any mercy or any respect to the Turkish Sultan, and he was not only dethroned, but in a way you can say he was also insulted. Now the thing is, the Turkish Sultan was the Caliph of the Muslim community, of the Islamic community, and he was given a lot of reverence or a lot of respect all over the world. This particular disrespect to the Turkish Sultan was considered to be one of the biggest insults done by the British to any particular sentiments of any particular Muslim in any part of the world. And as a reason, we can say because of this particular thing, an outcome came from the Indian land also, and because of the Ali brothers, we had the Khilafat movement. These Ali brothers started a particular form of movement which was very similar to the non-cooperation movement itself, and it was named as the Khilafat movement. The Muslim population in India started powerful agitation under this particular movement, and the Ali brothers who started this were Muhammad Ali, and you can write the other name as Shaukat Ali. So they were the ones who started it. They formed a 3-point program. First of all, their demands were the Ottoman caliphs should retain his empire. That means the Turkish Sultan should retain his empire. The caliph must be left with sufficient territory to enable him to defend the Islamic faith. And third point was the Arab lands, that is Arabia, Syria, Iraq, Palestine, must remain under the Muslim rule. They should not be taken over by the British or European non-Muslim countries. So that is how this Khilafat Day was observed on October 17, 1919. You can note down the date. October 17, 1919 was observed as the Khilafat Day in you can say all India scale. Gandhi saw in the Khilafat movement an opportunity of uniting Hindus and Muslims, because he was coming up with this particular idea of non-cooperation, and he found the same features of non-cooperation movement in the Khilafat movement. And as they had the common enemy, it was very, very legitimate for both the communities to come together and fight their common enemy, having a united formation. And that is why he came up with this idea that Khilafat movement and non-cooperation movement should come together as one particular opposition towards the British, in which it will be an opportunity for Hindus and Muslims to come together after a long time of division and fight against the British army in a united manner. So that is one of the reasons why non-cooperation was started, to have an opportunity of Hindus and Muslims coming together, and at the same time putting up a stand opposition or a stand agitation against the British for various wrongs that they had done to the Indians, as community wise or as per the region itself. Next we see the Rowlatt Act. Now when we talk about the Rowlatt Act, we see on receiving a report from the Sedition Committee headed by Justice Rowlatt, 2 bills were introduced. Now the purpose of these bills was to crush the growing upsurge in the Indian land, that means growing nationalism. When this was done, in spite of opposition from all the Indians, British did not listen to the Indian requests, and they did pass this particular bill, and these Rowlatt bills, 2 bills, became the Rowlatt Act. They passed and became the acts, and they were authorized by the government, and you can say it gave certain particular powers to the British. You can in a way British police or British administrators, and the power that was given was they were free to arrest a person without even a warrant. That means no warrant was required for an Indian to be arrested by a British officer. Next was in-camera trial, trial in seclusion. They were not supposed to have an open trial for any of the, you can say, person accused for any particular crime, if he is an Indian, and that could be done in a seclusion with only the minimum number of people required, and even very quietly without anybody even getting any information, the person could be tried and given a particular sentence. So that was how in seclusion the decisions were made without even letting anyone know about it. Next was restriction of movements of individuals. If British suspected someone, that particular individual's freedom in a way you can say was curbed. He was not allowed to move freely anywhere or be a part of any particular organization, move from one place to another. So he was perfectly under surveillance. Next was suspension of rights of habeas corpus. That means not to have the body. Anyone can be taken under any particular decision, suspicion or any particular doubt, and the body will not be even given out from the custody. That means not be released. Even if any particular law or any particular thing request could be made, they will not be released once they are taken by the government, unless and until the government feels that they should leave them. So that were some of the important particular rules, or you can say powers, that were given to the British government, and this was something which was totally and entirely against the Indian people, and that is why it was also called as the Black Bills. So these were known as the Black Bills. The act came like a sudden blow to the Indians, and this was something which shocked Gandhiji, and Gandhi decided that now it's high time to take an action against the British, because this cannot be tolerated. However, his appeal was ignored. He started Satyagraha as a challenge to the government. So because when he was not heard, when the British did not pay any attention to him, then he started his Satyagraha as an answer to this particular Rowlatt Act. And this Satyagraha, you can say, later on was even merged into the non-cooperation movement. Next we move on to the Jallianwala Bagh tragedy.